All right, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us on the eCoreAcademy YouTube channel if you're viewing this through YouTube. And thank you for watching this eCoreAcademy video through the website if you're viewing this through the website, as well as viewing us through our various social media platforms that I will overview at the end of this short lesson. So today through eCoreAcademy, we're going to be looking at the topic of the types of skin under the course name of Anatomy and Physiology and Science. And this will be presented by, of course, me, AJay Raj. And the title of this lesson will be The Types of Skin. And it's all about discovering the different kinds of skin and their characteristics. Um, so let's get into the very first type of skin. And there are two types of skin, and this pertains specifically to the epidermis. So let's get into it. So the first type of skin listed here is called thick skin. And thick skin is also known as thick and hairless skin, and it covers the palms, palmar surfaces of digits, and soles. So what that means is basically it covers the palms of the hands, generally speaking, palms, and this is where your thick skin is located, and it's also hairless. So all these parts of that I'm going to mention, all these thick skin parts, they have absolutely no hair follicles in the dermis because the epidermis is so thick in those areas. So basically, it's your palms and then your palmar surfaces of your digits, which are basically your your extremities, which you have 10 on your hands, on both of your hands, and 10 on both of your feet. So that's 20 total digits. Those are your fingers and your toes. And it's the inner side facing either your sole or your palms, uh, depending on whether or not it's your fingers or your toes. And those are the areas in which are hairless. So basically, just to recap, your palms, palmar surfaces of all your digits, and your soles of your feet, so the bottoms of your feet, they're all thick skin, which means they're all hairless skin. And thick skin has more skin receptors and serodiferous glands and fewer sebaceous glands. So what that means is basically thick skin has more skin receptors and serodiferous glands. So that those two go hand in hand. So skin receptors are basically our sensation to touch. So these are receptors that include Merkel discs, tactile receptors, Meissner corpuscles, and so on and so forth. So these are sensations to touch. So you're much more sensitive to sensations and touch since they're more located in thick skin. And serodiferous glands are glands in the body in which produce different kinds of waxy coatings or nettings around the pores on thick skin. And what it does is, since your pores are actually existent in thick skin, but you don't have hair, you need to clog up those pores because there's nothing filling them in. So these are types of coatings and nets that actually prevent from excess bacteria or known bacteria from seeping into the body. So it's an immunizing effect. And it has fewer sebaceous glands. So sebaceous glands are basically the kinds of glands that help promote hair growth and help promote the enlargement and stimulation of the pores. So, of course, since thick skin has no hair coming out through the ends, it has very few sebaceous glands. And then, of course, you have more skin ridges like your fingerprints and are found due to well-developed dermal papillae. So what dermal papillae is basically it's what anchors your epidermis to your dermis. So it has very well-developed dermal papillae. That's why it's so much thicker because its dermal papillae is a lot thicker. And it basically helps anchor the larger epidermis, very large epidermis in this case, to the dermis. And it aids in grip and object manipulation. That's what the skin ridges in your fingerprints are. And because they help grip onto items, these little ridges here, because otherwise everything would just slip off. So that makes sense with thick skin since it's much more sensitive and it's used quite often. And this is a little graphics here. This is a thick skin, and these are basically the layers of the epidermis: this corneum, lucidum, granulosum, spinosum, germinativum. And as you can see here, the stratum corneum is extremely thick here. But when you look at thin skin, it's actually quite smaller in this case because this is a zoomed in view. So that's a major difference here. The outermost layer is much finer, and the pores are much smaller. So that's a basic difference when it comes to images, but functions and characteristics are a little bit more different. So this is our next part. This is our next type of skin. There's two types. We already went through thick skin, and now this is thin skin. So the important thing to know is that thick skin covers approximately 5 to 10% of the body, around 5%, and basically everything else is covered with thin skin. So thin skin is very common throughout the body, and it's much more frequently found. So thin skin is basically the polar opposite of thick skin. It's thin and hairy, It's called thin, hairy skin. So it is hairy skin and it's also thin. And the main difference graphically is that thin skin is much thinner when you're looking at it on a measurement standpoint, and thick skin is definitely thicker. And it covers all body regions except the palms, palmar surface of digits, and soles of the feet. So basically, excluding all of these places that have thick skin, you have thin skin everywhere else. And it is usually 1 to 2 millimeters thick. That's the thickness of thin skin, and I believe thick skin is nearly 2.5 millimeters thick. And it has fewer skin receptors and seroodiferous glands and more sebaceous glands. So that's in direct opposition to what thick skin is. Those are they're polar opposites to a thick skin properties. So it has fewer skin receptors. So that means it's less prone to the sensation of touch. However, it's a very fine line though, because it includes many of the same receptors, just less in plethora, not as frequently found. However, it's very minute that you'll feel the difference. You won't feel the difference at all. It would take very fine tools such as acupuncture, maybe even. That's why you don't have acupuncture on thick skin areas, which are your soles and your palms. Because of that very reason, it would feel that pain, but your thin skin is actually very fine in detail with its sensation. However, it cannot feel something as fine as acupuncture. And it has fewer seroodiferous glands, which are basically the types of nettings and oil, not necessarily oils, but fluids that are secreted in order to cover up your pores and with the immunizing effects, because they have more sebaceous glands, which are direct opposites. If one is more existent, the other one's going to be less existent. So basically, what seroodiferous glands are, um, what sebaceous glands do in the thin skin is they basically help promote hair growth because hair is abundant here, hair is existent here. So this helps promote the hair growth not only in the hair follicle and the hair root, which is actually in the dermis, but it also helps with the edges of the hair in which comes outside of our body. So that's also important to know. And yeah, that's it. If you look here, it's our thin skin here, and basically the other layers, the granulosum down of the epidermis, are actually of the similar length. It's just a stratum corneum that's a bit outer stretched and much thicker on thick skin. And yeah, that'll be it for today's lesson. Thank you for watching this through the eCoreAcademy organization. Please like and subscribe to the video, and please push the notification bell to get notified on our latest posts. And please follow us on our please follow and make an account on our website link, which is eCoreAcademy. And please look at our social media outlets, which is Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Gmail, and Google Space. Thank you for watching. This has been AJay Raj from eCoreAcademy, and I'll see you in the next one.